Princess Beatrice and Eugenie were there, but noticeably absent their disgraced parents, the former Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. But it was
King Charles's blueprint for a modern monarchy was crisp, clear, and uncompromising. A streamlined institution, lean and purposeful, stripped of its problematic branches. But as the autumn leaves fell on Windsor in 2023, a single, immovable contradiction to that vision remained, entrenched within the red brick walls of a 30-room mansion. The occupant, his brother. The problem, a refusal to accept that his time was over. This past Christmas at Sandringham wasn't a festive reunion. It was the latest, most revealing manoeuvre in a silent, grinding war of attrition. And the behaviour witnessed there didn't soothe palace nerves. It exposed a deep, quiet concern that the problem of Prince Andrew is far from solved. Let's dismantle the first illusion. Prince Andrew's place at the 2023 Sandringham Christmas gathering wasn't a simple family invitation. It was a fraught, negotiated truce, brokered under immense private pressure. Insiders with knowledge of the palace's workings described the lead-up as a period of tense contingency planning. The king's senior advisors, the so-called grey suits, were reportedly united in their apprehension. Their primary fear wasn't Andrew himself, but the optics. A full, dramatic exclusion would create a media firestorm, painting Charles as a cold king casting out his own brother. Yet, inclusion came with its own toxic price. The compromise, therefore, was a masterpiece of clinical management. Andrew would be present, but his participation would be strictly defined, limited, and visually contained. The narrative focus would be laser-locked on the Prince and Princess of Wales. This wasn't about rehabilitation. It was about controlled exposure. On the surface, the Christmas Day walk to St Mary Magdalene Church was a picture of tradition. But for those trained to read the royal body language, the former aides, the veteran correspondents, the palace staff watching from the periphery, it was a chilling display of deliberate isolation. Andrew's physical placement was not accidental. He was never permitted to walk abreast with the King or the Prince of Wales. He occupied a trailing position, often half a step behind the main group, creating a subtle but unmistakable buffer of empty space around him. His interactions with the public were described by one eyewitness as stiff and perfunctory. Where Catherine leaned down to receive homemade gifts from children, Andrew's exchanges were brief nods, his smile not reaching his eyes. The crowd's reaction was telling, a smattering of polite greetings drowned out by the enthusiastic cheers directed at William and Kate. The message was broadcast in real time. You are here, but you are not of us. Behind Sandringham's ornate doors, the family dynamic was a study in strained politeness. Reports from within the household suggest the private gatherings were layered with unspoken tension. Andrew, according to one account, was subdued but palpably resentful. He participated in the rituals, the gift exchange, the lunch, but conversations were reportedly kept deliberately light, skirting any topic of substance. King Charles, sources indicate, maintained a cordial but firm distance. He fulfilled his duty as host and brother, but did not engage in the kind of private, lengthy conversations that might suggest a thawing of the official freeze. The energy, the investment, the familial warmth was conspicuously funneled toward the Wales family. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis became the living, breathing distractions from the elephant in the room. Andrew sat through it all, a living monument to a scandal the family desperately wishes would fade. This behaviour is the core of the palace's escalating concern. Andrew's demeanour wasn't that of a chastened man accepting a quiet private life. It was the posture of a man digging in, fortifying his position. For the king's team, the real nightmare scenario has evolved. It's no longer the fear of a new, shocking allegation from the past. That, however horrific, is a known quantity they have protocols for. The new, more insidious fear is what they call the normalization of his presence. Every official photograph with the family, every sanctioned public walk becomes a data point in Andrew's favour. It's ammunition for a narrative of gradual return. The Christmas appearance, in their view, was a strategic victory for Andrew. He breached the perimeter. He proved that when tradition and family pressure collide, the palace's hard line softens. He is playing a long, stubborn game, and his presence at Christmas was a calculated move on that board. Andrew's defiant stance exists in direct conflict with a crushing financial reality. Let's examine the numbers that form the vice around him. His sovereign grant funding for official duties, some £249,000 annually, was severed by the king. While he may still receive support from the Queen's private estate and his naval pension, it is a fraction of what is required to maintain his lifestyle. The true anvil is Royal Lodge. The lease, reportedly a 75-year agreement from the Crown Estate, is in his name, but the property's reported £2 to £3 million maintenance backlog, an estimated £400,000 plus annual running costs are astronomical. The King's clear and persistent desire is for Andrew to downsize to the far more modest Frogmore Cottage, allowing Royal Lodge to be transitioned to a working royal, most likely the future King, Prince William. Andrew's refusal is absolute. But this isn't about property. Royal Lodge is his last bastion of undisputed royal status, a physical symbol that he remains a senior duke. To surrender it is to surrender his final claim to relevance. His Christmas walk was a statement. I am still here in my palace, and I will not be moved. The pressure of this standoff doesn't exist in a vacuum. It radiates outward, poisoning the atmosphere and destabilising the small court that remains around him. Persistent reports from tabloids and royal commentators suggest a steady exodus of long-serving staff from Royal Lodge. These aren't just resignations, they are often framed as departures after difficult working conditions. The picture painted is of a principal increasingly isolated, frustrated, and challenging to serve. His bitterness over his exile reportedly spilling over into his management style. Furthermore, the secrecy surrounding his funding has become a source of tension. Questions swirl. Who is paying for the security, the upkeep, the staff that remain? Is it the King's private funds? Is it Andrew's own dwindling resources? This operational opacity is a constant headache for the main palace machinery, who must manage the fallout from a satellite operation they no longer control, but whose failures still reflect on the monarchy. As the Sandringham estate fell quiet after the holidays, the central agonising question for the palace remained: what now? They managed the 48-hour news cycle of Christmas, but they lost ground in the long war. Andrew proved his resilience. So, what is King Charles's next move? Does he escalate, potentially initiating a complex legal and PR battle to force Andrew out of Royal Lodge, risking a spectacularly ugly public feud? Does he continue the current, draining strategy of financial and social pressure, a costly stalemate that leaves a festering problem at the institution's core? Or does he, as some insiders whisper, ultimately bend to a grim reality that the brother, the Queen's favourite, may be an immovable object, forcing a permanent, awkward accommodation? The quiet concern sparked. This Christmas isn't about past transgressions. It's about a looming, unresolved future. The King is trying to steer the monarchy towards a stable, respected future. But in his rearview mirror, growing smaller but never disappearing, is the stubborn, costly, and dangerously persistent shadow of the past. Prince Andrew's Christmas message was received loud and clear. He isn't going away. And the palace has no idea what to do about it. The standoff continues, and the next move is anyone's guess.